Okay, what's the latest from a non-specialist about osteoporosis in the United States? Okay, number one, it's bad. Number two, it's common. Number three, we thought the solution was just more calcium. So you've seen all the ads at night for Caltrate and all these things you're supposed to take. And large-scale studies have shown that lots of extra calcium had little effect. We probably should take some extra calcium, but you shouldn't go overboard with it. And it hasn't been like the cure, like penicillin was the cure for pneumonia. So people have been stumbling around, and the hot new area of research is what you kind of talked about, and that is that we see that vitamin D levels are now being touted as being very important. About 5 or 10 years ago, vitamin D levels would cost $3,000 or $4,000 per test, and so we didn't do many of them. Now they've thrown it into the mix, and it costs about 10 cents. So we can do vitamin D levels real commonly, and what we found is almost the whole world is vitamin D deficient. And if you look around this room, we're kind of a pale-looking group. Okay? Most of us, according to the vitamin D and the bone researchers, say we should be out in the sun every single day for a minimum of 20 minutes. Okay? Now remember, of course, the dermatologists are wound up tight about staying out of the sun. So a lot of times when these two groups meet each other in the street, there's a big fist fight. But they're trying to come to a compromise, but vitamin D is really hot because it may protect against cancer. It may protect against heart attack. It may protect against osteoporosis. And most of us in America are vitamin D deficient. And taking extra tablets of vitamin D may not be as good as good old sun. So that's the hot new area of research for osteoporosis, and especially for my patients who have had a mini gastric bypass, that sun is tremendously valuable.
Can you take too much D though?
Yes.
You can't, because he told me to start taking D3, so do I still take the D with that?
Well, what you have to do is once you get it measured, you want to follow the blood tests. Because number one, you could be too low and you could need absolutely tons of vitamin D. They might have to back up a truck to your house and just pour vitamin D into your house because it can be so deficient. On the other hand, not everybody's vitamin D deficient. So we start off with a general recommendation of 3 Walmart One sources, and that's from 12 years ago. I want to tell you something as far as your surgeon's recommendations. 12 years ago, the recommendation for vitamin D was 400 units a day, and that's what is most vitamins. But I recommended for 12 years that my patient should be taking 3 times that, or 1,200. And what do you think the latest recommendation for most patients every day is? 1,200. So, it's as if I knew what I was doing. So we recommend that that's your baseline recommendation until you get your blood test. Now once you get your yearly blood test, then if you're one of the vitamin D deficient people, you need more.
Well, see, I was taking regular D, and then the last time I had my blood test, he said I needed D3.
Right. Now here's the deal. Vitamin D doesn't work. Vitamin D2 is vitamin D with a little extra oxygen hanging off of it, and vitamin D3 has 2. Okay? Hydroxide or something. It's a little molecule. Anyways. So some people argue, ooh, you got to have D3. Maybe that works better. There are some research studies which are, maybe vitamin D is fine if you just take enough of it because your body knows how to metabolize it. But then some people argue you got to be actually in the sun. So there are some disagreements. Certainly I would follow the advice of your doctor, and sometimes even a specialist in endocrinology or in rheumatology to look at the bones, because this is a little bit like obesity research. It's hot, it's developing, and we're finding out new things every day and every week, so it's tough for a non-specialist to stay up to date in it. I'm talking about it, and all the endocrinologists on the internet are listening to this going, "Don't! That's not right," because I'm not up on the latest research. What is interesting is the simple idea we had, which is just take extra calcium, is not the answer. They're big research projects, and we clearly know you don't want low calcium, but taking tons of calcium doesn't help. The new area of research is vitamin D, and some people are saying take tons of vitamin D, but there's arguments between the sun people and the non-sun people and the tablet people and the non-tablet people, And so that still is to be worked out.
I have a question regarding yogurt.
Yes.
For those that have difficulty eating that every day, what's your thoughts on those pills, the supplementals, the pearls, IC or something?
Right. There are bunches of other ways. What's the good thing about yogurt? One, it's got protein in it. Two, it's got calcium in it. Three, it's got bugs in it. Good bugs that we like. So people have said, well, Americans, they don't like, sour milk. So they said, why don't we give them a tablet? Because we love to take pills, okay? Do I want to eat carrots or take a vitamin A tablet? Take a vitamin A tablet. What I really like is to be able to eat Twinkies and take a multivitamin. That's the perfect American diet, right? With a Coke. Okay? It turns out that the research on this is pretty impressive, that lots of times tablets of vitamin A or tablets of vitamin E or tablets of vitamin C, when separated from the food, is not as good as the food itself. So taking acidophilus tablets or taking probiotic tablets can be good for you, and it's not a bad thing. But oftentimes when you take those and extract the vitamin from them, you lose its effectiveness. So my bias is yogurt is really important, and I would say if you had a heart transplant and I said every day you had to eat yogurt or you lose your heart transplant, what would you do? Okay, so eat your yogurt. I'm as important as your heart. Now let me say one more thing about the vitamin business. Lots of research many years ago showed that eating foods with vitamin A and vitamin E protected smokers against getting lung cancer. It was great. They measured blood levels of vitamin A and vitamin E, and they found that vitamin A and vitamin E were associated with lower risk of lung cancer. Well, the Veterans Administration said all of our guys are smoking. We got all these old smoking vets, and we got lots of lung cancer. Let's take 70,000 veterans and give half of them tablets of vitamin A and half of them tablets of vitamin E and half tablets of both. And at the end of 8 years, what did they find? The tablets didn't help. If you just read USA Today earlier this year, vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin C, zinc, and selenium help protect against prostate cancer in men, according to blood test and dietary recall. So they did a big study of about 8,000 men, and at the end of 5 years, they stopped the study because there was no advantage to taking those tablets of vitamin A and vitamin E and zinc and selenium. So how do we interpret, and I could give you 100 other studies, but how do we interpret that study? How do we interpret that foods with vitamin A protect against cancer, but tablets of vitamin A do not? There's probably more to the story than just the vitamin in the tablet. It's the whole healthy food. It's not the vitamin A by itself, it's the carrot. It's not the vitamin D by itself, it may be the sun. And that these other vitamins measured in the bloodstream by the test are red flags. They tell us that something's nearby. They're the fin of the shark, they're not the shark. So what should you take away from this? Eat a healthy diet. Can you avoid yogurt? Yes. Is it smart to avoid it? No. Can you avoid eating a healthy diet and just taking vitamins so that you could live on Twinkies and French fries and Big Macs with a Diet Coke? I wouldn't do it. I don't think the vitamins will protect you. I think you have to eat a healthy diet. And that's very disappointing. I mean, all of us would like the real simple technique of having a bottle of health and then eat what my mama used to call crap.